In this video, we're going to talk about the pro mindset. What does it take to be a pro player, and specifically a pro Halo Infinite player? What really separates a pro from a casual player, a competitive player, or even a top level Halo Infinite player? Because going pro is so much further beyond. So let's break it all down. But the GameLeap website is the best place if you want to hone your skills and become exponentially better at the game. We have breakdowns, guides, and tips and tricks that you won't find anywhere else. So if you really want to set yourself up for success in dominating the Halo Infinite ladder, go check it out right now down below. Now, when it comes to becoming a professional FPS video game player, the mindset and the way in which a pro does it is almost always the same. These are the 6 things that pretty much no matter what, they always have and they always incorporate, or if you do incorporate these, you have a much better shot of becoming a pro. And the first one is actually mindset. Now, the first part of this is actually always focusing on improvement. You don't think about just the wins and losses. You're thinking about using every single game as a catalyst to get a little bit better. Oftentimes, players that just play the game casually just want to take games game by game. And that's fine if that's all you want. However, a pro approaches the game differently. What did they do to actually play well, and what did they do to play poorly? How can they optimize slightly better for the next game? If you're going from game to game without actually learning a single thing, then you're not looking hard enough. And focusing on improvement is always going to be the goal rather than just trying to win games in general. But the second aspect of the pro mindset is being meta-centric, or doing what you have to do to win. And a great example of someone who doesn't think this way is someone that will say, that's broken, this is busted, this is unfair, right? You hear that a lot in video games in general, right? And pros still complain about that somewhat, but you have to understand that you need to succeed in the system as it is, rather than complain about a system and not try to participate in whatever is actually the dominant thing or the dominant play style. A great example of this is, like, imagine you're an MMA fighter and you're like, you know what? Chokeholds are broken. I'm not gonna use them. Fuck that. Or whatever. Or you're playing basketball and you're saying being tall and dunking is broken. It doesn't actually matter. At the end of the day, understanding what works, understanding how to do that thing and play along with it, even if you don't like it in the game from a bounce perspective, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about doing whatever you can to either exist inside the system as it is, utilizing whatever you can to win, or having specific counter strategies to whatever is the predominant meta or predominant system. If we relate that directly to Halo, this is learning strong weapons. This is utilizing weapons like the Mangler or whatever. Even if you don't 100% agree from a bounce perspective in whatever the gun or the strategy is, that doesn't mean you don't utilize it. Something like playing the edge and throwing the oddball off is not a cheap strategy. It's a meta strategy that you incorporate in your gameplay, and that is what a pro does. They do what wins. They do what is most effective. Now, the next thing doesn't just reference pro players. It pretty much references any person that competes in anything at the top of the top, right? Whether it's fucking chess or swimming or basketball or esports, it's all the same, and it's a disciplined routine. Now, I understand that you're not going to be able to play every day. You have stuff to do, but when you do want to dedicate playtime, it's important to have a routine to every single play session. Things like sleep, hydration, and overall comfort is going to make you very consistent in your play session from game to game. And even things like position from your monitor or position from your TV, and even smaller stuff like lighting, can really affect how you're playing from one play session to the next. Like, have you ever played a play session where you just were feeling off? Like, something was just weird and you were not playing your normal self. This is typically because something in your routine is not consistent, and there's some sort of variance in that routine that you're not even aware of. And typically, the whole point of having a disciplined routine is to where every single aspect of your play is consistent. So when you're playing in the game, that is what you can really focus on, and things aren't being thrown off by things outside the game. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is ultimately putting in the hours, right? If you want to be a pro player, but you can only invest 10 hours a week, I'm sorry, but it just ain't happening. That's not realistic to be pro in anything. You have to be putting in the hours. And this doesn't mean you have to put in like 10,000 hours instantly, but it does mean that you need to be putting in a certain amount of consistent hours, and you need to not waste those hours. Typically, a pro will play past the point of fun. It's not just, I need to play because I'm excited to play. It is, I need to play as a part of my improvement training. I know we keep relating it to the sports analogy, but no one in freaking sports just wants to run laps, right? They don't want to just keep running back and forth, right? That's not the fun. But the fun is utilizing what you have learned and actually applying it in, you know, tournaments and actual matches, which is the same way when we talk about esports. It's all about applying the hours that you spend and using them efficiently, even if some of the hours that you spend on grinding your skill is not exactly what you would call fun and enjoyable. It's practical to improve your skill set for when it actually matters. And this includes things like practicing your movement techniques, practicing your mechanical skill, learning more map knowledge, or just having VOD reviews and being analytical about your own gameplay post-game. And these are all things that could dramatically improve a player and really push them to the next level a lot quicker and make every single hour actually count for much more time as far as improvement is concerned. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is developing value to a team or an org. And this is what a pro player in pretty much anything they do should be thinking about. What value do you bring to a team? Why does a team want you on their squad, right? Because Halo, you can't play that solo. There's no, you know, one-man army. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of free-for-all tournaments, but we talked about that before. But specifically, the base way that Halo is played, you need 3 other teammates, right? And they need to be able to rely on you, and they need to want you. So what do you bring that's so different from the sea of other players? How do you differentiate yourself? Maybe it's with your in-game leadering. Maybe it's with your consistency. Maybe you're a god sniper that has put in the hours to make sure that you never miss a single freaking easy shot. Regardless of what it is, what is your impact that you bring to a team? And then the next level to that is, what's the impact that you bring to an org? Why would an org want to sign you? What makes you so much better than other players skill-wise that they want to bring you in? Or what makes you so much better as far as a monetizable class or asset? As in, what is your name recognition? Do you create content? Do you provide value to the org? What can you actually do that makes it so a pro team or multiple teammates want to pick you up? Talented individuals or an org with resources that will help you succeed altogether. Now, the last point in this video is about the pro scene as a whole. While there's a ton of tournaments in the game, as far as becoming an actual Halo pro, there's only about 10 teams that are considered top of the line for Halo Infinite, as in you're gonna get paid a fat check to play on these teams. And a lot of these rosters are already filled. And it's a lot harder to break into a roster and replace people than it is to fill them, especially when we're talking about the history and everything that has come before in the many years of Halo. Now, there are other teams that are just under the surface and the pro scene is just getting ready. So there's going to be a lot more than just about 40 spots. There's probably going to be many, many spots, but I say many, I'm really only talking about like 500 opportunities out of every freaking person in each region. The true answer to what it takes to be a pro player is being better than every fucking person besides those 500. That's what it takes. It takes that level of dedication, that level of practice, and even a certain level of talent as well. There's a lot of things that go involved into becoming a pro player, but these 6 things are ultimately what you need to be thinking about if you ever want to chase that path to pro, or if you're ever interested in how much effort and work it takes for a pro player to become something more than just someone who plays the game seriously or just grinds the game in general. But if you have any questions, definitely let me know down below. And the GameLeap website is your #1 place if you want to quickly improve to Onyx and above. We have tons of pro coaches that will guide you through your journey, teaching you the tips and tricks that you need to succeed on any freaking stage. Do yourself a favor and go check it out right now down below.